Welcome to RedDragon! Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of the Voidcraft mod tutorial. I'll leave the link to part 1 down in the description for those of you who need to see it. Now, without further ado, let's get into things. I'm going to be covering what you can do to prepare for the Corrupted Pawn boss fight, as well as the boss fight itself, and I'm also going to cover all the Voidic machines you can make, using Void Stars and other materials from the game. Now, the Corrupted Pawn is actually an extremely hard boss fight. Even with a Void Sword and a full set of Void Armor, you're still going to have a lot of trouble. The Corrupted Pawn is spawned from the Chain Skull item. For those of you who don't know how to get that, I covered that in part 1. If you have other mods installed, there's probably an assortment of different armors and items you can get to help you in this fight. However, if you're playing with just Voidcraft, the best you can do is prepare with enchantments, potions, and lots of golden apples. Obviously, the basic enchants like protection and sharpness are going to help a lot in this fight. However, a specific enchantment that can be very helpful is blast protection, as almost all of the Chain Skull's attacks are explosions. Once you prepare for the fight, all you have to do is right-click the Chain Skull anywhere on the ground. The game will go through a cutscene, and the boss will be spawned in. Once you get it down to half health, the Corrupted Pawn becomes immune to arrows, just like the Wither, so you're going to have to fight with melee weapons. Every once in a while, there will be a break in the endless stream of skulls flying at you. This can be a chance to get a hit in. As you can see, the boss fight is anything but easy. Even if you win, you can still die from Wither effect. That's a very real threat. After you kill the Corrupted Pawn, you can claim your prize, a Void Star. However, if you're having trouble with the fight and can't seem to win, there are a few strategies you can use to make it a little bit easier. After the Corrupted Pawn kills you, it will start shooting skulls around it in a circle rather than attacking. This gives you a chance to trap it if you're willing to die first. The skulls can still hit you, but as long as you're careful, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Once you've trapped the Corrupted Pawn, you should be able to kill it by dashing in, getting a hit or two off, and dashing back out. You might get hit every now and then, but you shouldn't take too much damage, and you should be able to heal up in between each round. The Corrupted Pawn's passive regen is very slow, much slower than the Wither's, making this a viable strategy. This should wear him down pretty quickly, but you're going to want a diamond pickaxe so you can collect the Void Star without trapping yourself in obsidian. Though, worst case scenario, you could just dig down and around. Now, you might argue that killing the Corrupted Pawn this way feels cheaty. And you're right, it is. I personally like fighting all my bosses the real way, with an actual challenge. However, the choice is really up to you. A cheaper way to do the obsidian trap previously used would be to instead use soft bedrock, as that is immune to explosions as well. The advantage to soft bedrock is that it's all over the void dimension, so it's really easy to get. Collecting a Void Star will give you access to a great deal of crafting recipes. In addition, it will also complete Empowerment, a page in your Vade Mecham, giving you access to a new page, Tolerance. Completing Empowerment will also give you access to a new Voidic Confusion Control ability. Now, what Empowerment does is it makes it so as you gain Voidic Confusion, your attack rises, so you'll do more damage. You can equip more than one Voidic Confusion Control ability, and there's no downside to Empowerment, so there's no reason not to equip it. The first thing you're going to want to craft with a Void Star is a Void Infuser. To make a Void Infuser, simply combine an Inert Void Infuser with a Void Star. The Inert Void Infuser isn't too expensive. You should have all the materials by now simply by raiding Void Fortresses. The first thing you should use the Void Infuser for is to create a Void Macreator. This is created by putting a furnace in the Void Infuser along with a bucket of liquid void. Simply pop the furnace and the liquid void bucket into the infuser, and it will start to infuse it. It doesn't take too long, maybe 20 seconds, and you'll have a Void Macreator. The Void Macreator is used to create various dusts. Unfortunately, it needs power to function. Power is different from Void Fluid, but can be obtained through a Void Generator. A Void Generator is made with redstone around a Void Infuser. Now, since you probably don't have another Void Star, you're going to have to use the same Void Infuser for now. This will leave you temporarily without a Void Infuser, so if you want more than one Macreator, I'd make it now. Once you have a Voidic Generator, place it anywhere adjacent to the Void Macreator. Then, fill it with liquid void. You'll notice that the fluid in the generator will quickly drain. And although the power does not go up, that's because it's instantly transferring the power into the Macreator. So one bucket of liquid void will give you 2,000 Voidic power. This can be used multiple times. 2,000 Voidic power is actually quite a lot, so a single bucket can get you a good amount. Void Macreator can create many different types of dusts. 3 of these, copper, tin, and lead, cannot be obtained without other mods that add those 3 materials. However, even with just Voidcraft, you can still obtain iron dust from iron, coal dust from coal, gold dust from gold, and so on with lapis dust from lapis. You get the point. The 2 most important dusts are iron dust and coal dust, and you're going to need a lot of each of these. Grinding a single item into dust takes 200 Voidic power, so you can make 10 dusts from 1 bucket of liquid void, which really isn't too bad. In fact, while most items will only get you 1 dust of that type, a single piece of coal will actually get you 4 coal dust, so you don't need nearly as much of that. Once you have enough dust, you're going to want to make yourself a Void Blast Furnace. This requires 4 Void Cloth, 4 Void Brick, and a Molten Void Chain part, which is a smelted Void Chain. You could have made this at any point in the past, but it's completely useless without having the dust from the Macreator. Now, just like the Macreator, the Void Blast Furnace requires power to function. So you're going to need to power it using the generator from before. Thankfully, you can just move the generator over. Using one generator to power both machines doesn't really work all that well.
But this one does.
What happens is, all the power flows into one of the machines, and there's almost no way to direct it. For that reason, it's easier to just pick up the generator and move it to whichever machine you want to power. Once it has power and the dusts, the Void Blast Furnace needs one more thing. What you have to do is you have to have Void Fire underneath it. For this, you're going to need an obsidian flask with Void Fire, which for those of you who don't remember, can be gathered at Bedrock. Dig out a hole and toss it underneath the blast furnace. For a more permanent setup, I recommend getting Netherrack so the fire doesn't go out. At 500 power apiece, the Void Blast Furnace will turn iron dust and coal dust into Voidic Steel. Voidic Steel is one of the most important items in the game of Voidcraft. It gives you access to a whole slew of possibilities, including powerful swords you can tier up, a Voidic drill once you have another Void Star, to a Void shield, and so much more. There are a lot of options, as you can clearly see. Some of the first things you're going to want to craft with Voidic Steel is the shield and the swords. Now, the shield is the same as any regular Minecraft shield, except far greater durability. For that reason, you might think it's a good idea to pass on it, but it's actually pretty cheap. Just a few Void Crystals and one piece of Voidic Steel. Probably more important at the moment, though, are the swords. There are two swords you can make from the start. One is called the Angelic Sword, and it is a bit unique among the other swords. The other is the Chain Sword. The Chain Sword does 1 extra damage, and also gives a 5-second slowness effect. But the advantage of the Angelic Sword is that it will one-hit KO any Void mob that is not a boss. This can make it pretty great for traversing the Void, especially with some of the mobs having 100 health. Information and crafting recipes for the rest of the swords can easily be found in the Vain Mecham. As you are now, you should be able to make all the swords up to the Archangelic Sword. Here, you'll be stuck, unable to make the Demon Sword, as that requires the Void Infuser you use to make the Void Generator. Thankfully, the Archangelic Sword is very useful, having plus 17 attack damage, and dealing nausea, blindness, wither, poison, weakness, and lighting on fire any enemies it hits for 10 seconds. Voidic cables let you transfer power from generators to machines that are farther away. Void Crystallizer isn't that useful, it just turns liquid void into crystals using power. The Void Box is just a jukebox that lets you loop or cycle through music discs. Unfortunately, it's expensive and requires a Void Star. Putting a beacon in a Void Infuser will get you a Heimdall. The Heimdall uses quartz dust to create liquid void, which can then be extracted using a bucket. Another machine with limited uses is the Voidic Anchor, which takes an infusion from nearby mobs that have Voidic infusion and converts it into fluid. One machine you are definitely going to need is the Voidic Charger. It can charge some Voidic artifacts from the mod, and also is used in a lot of crafting recipes. The first such recipe would be the Reality Stabilizer. Requiring a Void Star and a Voidic Charger, so 2 Void Stars in total, it has a very important function of being, with power, able to absorb nearby holes in reality. So if you provide it with power, it will actually convert the nearby holes in reality into blocks that you can actually have in your inventory. Once you have a hole in reality, you can make a Voidic Drill. Although this requires another Void Star and a Void Charger, so 2 more Void Stars again. Still, it may be worth it, as it's a really cool item. Once charged in a Voidic Charger, it will shoot out a beam that insta-mines in a 3x3 area. It doesn't use up too much power, also, so it's not that bad an investment. The other use of holes in reality are the reality teleportation blocks. When linked with the reality teleporter, and fueled with both power and holes in reality, then given a redstone signal, these will allow you to teleport back to any other reality teleporter block they are linked to. In addition, the bonus is that you can link multiple reality teleporter blocks to the same one, meaning that you can have multiple of these around your base that might all return you back to the center. The downside is obvious. It uses up a hole in reality each time, so you can very quickly run out if you're not careful. Thank you for watching all the way through to the end. I hope this helped some of you out, and if it didn't and you have any additional questions, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll try to get back to you. I'm usually pretty good at responding to any questions, so it shouldn't be a problem. In addition, if any of you could like the video or subscribe, it would be a huge help to me as a YouTuber, as I'm just getting started, and I need any bit of help I can get. Once more, thank you, and goodbye. This is RedDragon, signing off.